Did you know that you can find something in common with someone no matter what? Like they could be from a different country, a different religion, maybe they have a different belief system altogether, they could be a different gender than you, maybe a different income status, or a different degree of health, but it doesn't matter because people actually have so much in common that this is the basis for starting any new relationship. What's up? This is Meliss and welcome back to the channel. I'm here with the info you need to get the results you want because today I'm about to explain what the Me Too factor is and how you can use it to rebuild relationships in your personal and business life. But first, if you're new here, I'm Meliss 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐞 and I'm an online marketing strategist and business growth expert to coaches and healers. My whole channel is about marketing, online business, mindset, and manifestation. Hit that subscribe button and join the family so you can grow a profitable online business. Now, let's get into it. So what is the Me Too factor? Well, this is actually a term that I coined inside my Marketing with Intention program. And basically it states that while communicating with someone, you try to find what you have in common with them. So if they were to say it out loud, you would reply back with, "Oh, me too." And then you've used that Me Too factor to build your relationship. So for example, let's say I meet someone at a playground. I brought my kids, they've brought their kids, and we just start talking. We recognize that we have some things in common just because of where we are and who we're with. So obviously, we both have kids, and maybe we have even more in common about the kids. We would find that out if we had more conversation. Maybe they're the same age, or they went to the same school, or they have a friend of a friend of a friend, or maybe they have similar interests. So when you are in certain scenarios, put on your Me Too factor goggles and go out there and try to find those similarities. Maybe they're wearing a shirt that says something that has some meaning to you, like a name of a school, and then you can start a conversation. "Oh, did you go to that school, to that university? My friend's cousin's brother went there," or something like that. So based on what they're wearing, where they are, who they're with, what they say, how they think, just put on your awareness and then you'll see what you actually have in common with people. Now, another example could be if you're meeting someone at a bar and maybe you've gone to the restroom, and in the restroom, women know this to be true, there are lots of other women there who are open to having conversation. So maybe you're in the bathroom at the bar and someone's wearing this amazing necklace and you go up to them and you say, "Oh, I love your necklace." And the person goes, "Oh, thank you. My grandma Hilly made it." And you could say, "What? No way. I have a grandma Hilly too." Boom, there you go. That's your Me Too factor. Or maybe they said, "Well, thank you so much for complimenting me on my necklace. I actually made this necklace." And I could say, "Oh, do you make necklaces for a living?" And they would say, "No, I just love arts and crafts." Boom, me too. I love arts and crafts as well. So always search for that Me Too factor because it's gonna help you grow in so many ways, which I'm gonna talk about in this video. Hey, before we continue, do me a favor and go ahead and tap that like button right now because it lets me know that you find value in my content. It really makes a huge difference, and then I know to make more of these types of videos for you in the future. Many thanks. I'm so grateful for you. Now let's hop back in. Inside of my Marketing with Intention program, I sometimes conduct an experiment on day one. And this is where we're having a meeting, a whole group of us on Zoom, and then I put people into breakout rooms with only 2 people in each room so that they could have their own individualized conversation. I don't really tell them why I'm doing this, but I tell them to go in there and get to know one another. Meet, have a conversation, and really just talk. I don't give any other direction than that. And then I bring everyone back together and I spring it on them and I say, "All right, tell me 2 things you've had in common that you found out you had in common with them." And what happens is people have to quickly think through, "Oh, what did we say? We talked about that. We did that thing. Oh, okay, now I know what we have in common." But what's really interesting after having done this for many years is that every single time, people find commonalities and they don't really struggle to find them. It just is one of the first things that comes to their mind. So I did this experiment with two of my friends who had never met before. We spent a lot of time together, but I've edited it to be really short just to show you exactly what it is. So what I want to do now is I want to hop in to this experiment with my two friends, Roberta and Josh.
Well, hello. I'm really excited because I have asked two of my friends who have never met before, but have heard about each other, to come meet today for a social experiment. And they both have absolutely no idea what we're going to do. And they're both a little nervous, but don't worry, it's going to be fine. So what I want to do is conduct a social experiment that I conduct inside of my Marketing with Intention program, but I didn't want to bring any of my clients on. I wanted some willing and, willing victims who want to be a part of this. So thank you both for being so cool and doing this. So what I want to do is just have you guys meet each other for the very first time. I'm going to shut off my volume, my microphone, and my camera. And I just want you guys to have a natural conversation like you just totally met. And then I will come back in here. So I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes each. And you can, kind of do 2 minutes, and then I might put in the chat it's time to switch or something like that. And what I want you to do is just talk about who you are, what you do, maybe a few fun things about yourself. Just get to know each other. Sounds good?
Hi, Josh. How are you?
Hey, good.
And I've heard a lot about you. You sound like
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, what have you heard?
Well, I heard that you're George's friend too, and just that you're a good friend to him. And
Okay.
I have a cat. His name is Henry. I don't know. I'm a kind of like a creative techie type person. I'm an instructional designer, but I also do real estate stuff and invest and build and things like that. And I have a motorcycle. I don't know.
They've got that community garden.
Mm-hmm.
And then I used to sell sauerkraut at their market back before the markets had become huge.
There's a whole don't drink pasteurized milk kind of thing, and you can go to farms and get unpasteurized milk now. It's like market. I love sauerkraut. That's pretty cool.
I'm a software guy. I'm remote. I work remote. I'm doing software engineering for about 8 years. So I got 3 kids, married. Yeah, 10 years been married. It's crazy. It's a long story. It's hard to convince me otherwise. I'm very, very stubborn.
I think that's good though. You have to be. Relationships are work sometimes. It's not all skipping through the flowers, but it's worth it if you're with someone. Obviously you are. It's your wife of 10 years and you have kids, so you don't just throw something like that away. So that's commendable.
Questions I had to deal with in my life when I was in school, so much easier. These are the hardest questions I've ever had to answer.
It's the biggest of big deals. That's all of life in a single nutshell right there.
Okay, thank you. That was very wonderful and interesting. Now for the fun part, since you just met and I gave you about 4.5, 5 minutes to just have a basic conversation, I would like to know, and I didn't tell you this before, if you can come up with 2 things that you each have in common based off of this brief conversation that you had. So I'll start with Roberta, just based off of the facial expressions that I'm seeing. So Roberta, you get to go first.
2 things we have in common. We both think George is cool, and we both prioritize love.
Ooh.
Oh, very nice. Okay. What about you, Josh? What can you
Well, I was going to say we both like sauerkraut. That's clear. She... now that I know her value on love, I also concur. But I would say love for motorcycles. I don't own any, but I do love them. I think progressive. Probably, I saw you get excited about the community garden. So I think that there's something there as well that we probably have in common.
For sure.
That's amazing. Well, thank you guys for doing this. Basically, what the point of all this is to say that no matter who you meet, no matter where you are, even if you've never seen each other before, even in just a brief interaction, you can find something that you have in common with someone. And I'm sure if I let you guys communicate even longer, you'd find a lot more. So thank you for meeting with me and doing this social experiment. I really appreciate it. So that was really fun for me because those are two of my friends who have never met before. But after I shut off the recording, we stayed and talked together as a group of 3 of us for over 30 minutes. And we found so many more things that they had in common, which I would expect since they're both my friends, but like really cool things. So I encourage you to try this out every time you're speaking to a new client, to a new prospect, or even to a stranger at the bus station. But there is always something that you can find that you have in common with anybody else.
So let me know below if you are gonna try to experience the Me Too factor the next time that you have a conversation with someone new. Okay, so now you know what the Me Too factor is, but how can you use it? Why is this so important? The first thing is that it helps you focus on being an active listener. If you go into a conversation knowing that your goal is to find the Me Too factor, now you're actually very focused and you can be an active listener. You're gonna ask questions, you're gonna respond, you're going to have that back and forth conversation. So it's going to make your conversations more powerful and more interesting, and you're going to be an active listener. Another thing that this does is it creates a way for you to find a common ground with everyone, no matter what. And this is a really powerful thing to do. If you're in an uncomfortable situation, maybe you have a confrontation, maybe you have to help some people, some friends, maybe you're meeting strangers. It doesn't matter. In every single situation, if you focus on finding the Me Too factor and finding that common ground with everyone, it's going to bring you peace. You're going to be the peacemaker in many instances as well, because the people who create peace in this world are the ones who can see both sides. You can see both sides when you realize, oh, they have this in common, they have this in common, they want this common goal together. What's really interesting about the Me Too factor is that after you have really pinpoint, oh, that and that and that and that and that are all the same to me, you're gonna actually solidify the information that you learned about this new person because you're gonna hold it in your memory longer. Instead of meeting a new person and they spew all this information about themselves to you and then you leave and you forget all the information, all the details, you forget their name, you might even forget what they look like, and it just becomes a moment in time. If you're focusing on the Me Too factor, you're gonna actually retain that information longer. And when you meet that person again, you're gonna remember that you and that person had this thing in common, and it's going to be a great way to start the conversation again the second time and re-spark where you left off because you're gonna remember that information. So I highly recommend that you use the Me Too factor when you meet new people for all of the reasons we just went over. But in your personal life, you could do this at work, you can do it at a party, you can do it at a random occurrence, and it just gets the conversation going. So if you're the one that's kind of hesitant to start conversations, or maybe you feel a little introverted or you don't know how to start, this is a great thing to focus on, because once you focus on the Me Too factor, you're going to have natural conversation that flows. Now, in business, this helps build relationships that can later turn into many things like joint venture opportunities, business opportunities, friendships, of course, expansion of your network, which is really important in business, and also to get you clients and customers. So using the Me Too factor in business is really, really powerful, and I highly recommend it. Now, as far as personal and business life, you can also use the Me Too factor in all areas of just the world, because this brings the world closer together and it opens communication. So instead of thinking, oh, you know, that person over there, well, they probably think blah, 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 and having all this negative, assumptive type of energy, you can actually start a conversation and be like, oh, you know that person over there? We both love the color purple, and we both have 2 kids, and we both do this and that and this and that, or we both have dogs, you know, and all of a sudden, people are more understanding of one another. We have better communication. That open communication brings us closer together. So in a way, the Me Too factor could totally serve humanity and save us from all the negative places that we hopefully are not headed. Now, this is just one strategy to use when it comes to building relationships online. But if you want to learn more strategies and ideas around building business relationships, go ahead and click this next video, how to build a business relationship online right now, so that you can start building those lasting relationships that are going to help you grow and scale and have lots of friendships as well. Go check it out.